Okay, today we're going to learn how to factor and solve binomials using magic. The first thing you want to do is, so I'm going to move this up and write the steps down. The first thing you want to do is move everything over to one side. And that's combining like terms, which I call CLT. Okay? Then you're going to make an X like this. On the top of the X is going to go A times C. A is the leading coefficient, or we'll just say number in front of X squared. C is the constant at the end. And then on the bottom here is going to be B. And B is the number in front of the X. Okay? Then we're going to fill in these two here. The numbers we're going to fill in these two are the numbers that multiply to get to the top and add to get to the bottom. Once we do that, we're going to rewrite our equation with our new numbers. With our new numbers replacing the X value. And then the last thing we're going to do is factor, which I will show you how to do using these two examples. Now, ones without a leading coefficient, so ones without a number in front of the X squared, are really easy. The first thing it says to move everything over to one side and combine like terms. That's done for us already. So what we're going to do, the second step said to do something like this. And in the top you put A times C, so A is 1, C is negative 21. So I'm going to write A is 1, C is negative 21, B is 4. So 1 times negative 21 is negative 21. And B is 4, so we write 4. Now we find two numbers, so we fill this in. We find two numbers here that multiply to negative 21 and add to 4. So two numbers that multiply to negative 21 and add to 4 are 7 and negative 3. And then in the case where there's no leading coefficient, it's really easy. We can just factor it by having two parentheses, and we say X and X, and then if it's right here it's 7, so just plus 7, and right here minus 3, so minus 3. It's factored for you. To solve it, you set each one of these things equal to 0, because if you have two things that are multiplied, either this one's going to be 0, or this whole thing's going to be 0, or they can both be 0. So we say X plus 7 equals 0, X minus 3 equals 0, and then we solve, so we get X equals negative 7 or X equals 3. So if we just have no leading coefficient, or the leading coefficient is 1, it's really easy. Now, to do the next one, we do the same thing, only we have to add in a step. So, a couple steps. The first thing we need to do is combine like terms. We don't have everything over to one side, so we're going to move it over to one side. We say plus 5x, and minus 5, minus 5. So we have 3x squared plus 7x plus 2 equals 0. Okay? Now, we're going to make our little x. In the top, so we have A equals 3, B is 7, C is 2. So in the top we have A times C, so 3 times 2 is 6. And in the bottom is B, which is 7. Now we figure out two numbers that multiply to 6 and and add to 7, that's 6 and 1. It doesn't matter if you write 6 and 1 or 1 and 6. They both work. That's why it's called magic. So, now we're going to rewrite the equation with our new numbers replacing the x value. These are our new numbers. So, we leave our old numbers, 3x squared. We take our new numbers, plus 6x, plus 1x, so we can just write x. And we leave the 2. Now, to factor, we cut it in half in front of the sign, here. So we cut it in half, and we say to ourselves, alright, what can we take out of here? Well, both of these can be divided by 3, and both of these can be divided by x, so we take out a 3x. If we were to divide both of these by 3x, we get left over x, because these cancel, and then x squared divided by x is x, plus, and then 3x goes into 6, or 3 goes to x goes into 6x twice, so plus 2. And then we say plus, okay, we always write plus. And out of here, if you can't take anything out, like if you look at it and you can't take anything out, you just take out a 1, because you can take out a 1 in anything. And then if you divide this by 1, you would get x. If you divide this by 1, you would get 2. So the final factoring step would be to take this. You should also get here, this parentheses and this parentheses should be the same. That's the other reason why we call it magic, because they are magically the same. So we take that out, x plus 2, and then we make the parentheses next to it, and whatever's left over goes into that parentheses, which is 3x plus 1. Now it is factored. Again, like before, we take the first parentheses, set it equal to 0. Second parentheses, set it equal to 0 to solve. So this is going to be x equals -2. And over here we're going to get 3x equals -1. And then we divide by 3. So x equals -1/3. These are our answers.